All right, joining me now is Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council, one of the top religious liberty leaders in the country. Tony, good to have you with us today. What was that experience like being out there? I understand it was a pretty young crowd, by the way.
Well, Todd, I'll just say this. After those pardons yesterday, it's safe to gather in America again. It's safe to pray. It's safe to be a grandmother and praying on the streets of America. So it is a new day in America, and it's refreshing. I think people think there's a sense of justice coming back. And, it was very encouraging to see you had not only the vice president, you played a clip from him, president recording a message, but you had the House Speaker there. You also had the majority leader from the Senate there. So we're seeing a unified effort to speak to the value and the importance of human life. And that's really important.
Tony, I want to go back to those pardons, and I know the national media really didn't cover that story, but people find it very hard to believe that Christians were thrown in jail by the Biden administration simply for praying outside those abortion clinics.
Yeah, the FACE Act, the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, first adopted when Bill Clinton was president, wasn't used that much until Joe Biden, and then it was used repeatedly to go after peaceful. Now, I'm going to tell you, these are peaceful pro-life protesters. These were not people involved in violence, destruction of property. They were outside of abortion clinics. In many cases, as you pointed out, they were elderly people who were just out there praying for the women going in, that they would make a choice of life, praying for the unborn children, and they were sentenced to prison, multiple years in prison. So, it's horrible, Todd, that we have to wait for an election to get justice. This is something that we took for granted in America, that no matter who was in the Oval Office, that everyone was treated with equity and with, Lady Justice being blind. But that's not been the case. And that's something we have to restore in America. And hopefully, under the Trump administration, working within the confines of the law, we will restore the rule of law in this country.
So far, how is the president doing? He's wrapped up a pretty busy week one. I know there are a lot of issues that you guys are focused on. Secretary of State Marco Rubio sending out the edict about passports. It's going to be male and female, no more X's. How's the administration doing thus far?
Todd, I have to say they're doing quite well. The president, I think, has summed it up. Common sense is back. Something that was not so common in the last 4 years. It has returned. As the speaker pointed out today at the March for Life, that the president, in talking about gender in one of his executive orders this week, pointed out that it starts at conception. When a child is conceived in the womb, the gender is determined. And that was an important statement, not just for gender, but for life as well. And when you talked about the Secretary of State, we also had a policy from the president that there will only be one flag that America flies. That means over our embassies, and that will be the American flag, no longer the pride flag or any of these other flags that are being flown. So I have to say, I give him very high remarks for his first week.
And of course, your relationship as well with Speaker Johnson. How important is it to have someone like a Speaker Johnson? Here's a guy who shares faith. He's an evangelical Christian. How important is that relationship going to be moving forward?
Well, Todd, I think it's very important. I think, number one, Mike is a very, very sharp individual. He's a constitutional lawyer. He's done religious liberty defense. And so he not only brings a very solid understanding of the law, but he understands the process there on Capitol Hill, but he also has a deep anchor understanding that the rule of law, guided by transcendent truth, is extremely important in this country. And he's very close to the president. The president likes him. And so they're conversing multiple times a day. And so I think it's going to be very helpful in shaping the policies of the Trump administration to keep them within the lines, move us forward, the America First agenda, but in such a way that it respects the Constitution and the rule of law.
All right, Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council. We're going to have to leave it there. Tony, thanks. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Todd. Great to be with you.